Thanks for clicking on Wayne.com for the Week 11 or sectional second round edition of Inside the Zone. He's
Whichever
Justin
you
Kenny.
prefer.
Yeah, I'm Glenn Marini, and for a number of teams, really, it's just 6A and 5A. It isn't second round action. It's their first action of the postseason, and that's where we're going to start because our Highlight Zone game of the week, as you might expect, will be a rematch. We're talking Homestead battling the Snyder Panthers in what should be a good ball game on Friday night. How do you see this one playing out? What are some of the things that you're looking forward to about what is a rematch from Week 5 of the regular season down at Lucas Oil Stadium?
Well, I think the big thing is, can Homestead slow that Snyder offense down? First time around, Homestead gives up 52 points, couldn't control Christian Covington to that Snyder running game. So I think that is a big key going into Friday night. If Snyder can dominate offensively the way they were down in Indianapolis earlier in the year, this isn't going to be a contest. But if Homestead can get a stop here and there, I still feel pretty confident that Homestead can put up some points. That Homestead defense just needs to come ready to play.
You're right about Christian Covington. He was dominant on the ground in that game, but Jaya Wright also, in his own way,
Absolutely.
dominant on the ground. They had trouble containing him, especially once he got outside the tackles. He went for 142 yards on the ground and 4 touchdowns. If you're Kurt Tippmann, that has to be priority number one, right, during this week, to your defense saying, hey, man, we cannot let him beat us for big plays. We cannot let him eat up the clock with his run game.
Absolutely. The problem is he's done it to every team they've played this year.
Easier said than done.
Absolutely. So when you look at this game and you say, okay, if Jaya's Jaya, if Homestead can put up 30 points, in most games they would be in it. But if they're not able to get stops defensively like they weren't able to in key moments down in Indianapolis, they're not going to be in the game. Now, granted, they gave up a special teams touchdown late in that, I think it was first half, that kind of really switched the momentum down in Indy. Mm-hmm. So obviously it wasn't all on the defense, but this defense is really going to have to come and really slow that Snyder running game down, because if they're able to run all over, it doesn't matter what Jaya Wright does, Snyder's just going to outscore them.
When you take a look at Snyder, you always want to play in your best football at the end of the season. We've talked to Kurt Tippmann after a few games recently. He said, we're not there yet. We're not playing our best football at the right time of the season. Do you think with a bye week and a chance to maybe fix some of the things that they saw that they didn't like at the end of the regular season, both offensively and defensively, do you think, they played pretty well against Lures.
Yeah.
Do you think that they will be playing their best football as the playoffs begin?
Usually are under Coach Kurt Tippmann. I mean, it's kind of a given at this point. We were kind of, questioning them a little bit the last couple weeks of the regular season. What's wrong with this defense? Are they capable of going on a 6A run? They absolutely dominate a Lures team, in Week 9 to really, especially defensively. That was the question when they gave up points to Northrop in that game and DeWanger. So they come out ready to play, get a great game against Lures defensively. Then they get the bye. So all indications are this team's going to be ready to play come on Friday. On
the other half of the bracket, you've got Northrop versus Carroll. This is a game, another rematch from SAC teams. 49-14 Carroll back in Week 4. Jack Miguel throws for 7 touchdowns in that game. I'm guessing if you're on the Northrop defensive side of the football, you're going to be trying to limit the passing game at Carroll, which can be easier said than done with a couple of Beckers out there and just the talent that they have.
Yeah, I think this is a game that Carroll dominated. The first time around feels like they're going to a second time around. This Northrop is that team that one of these weeks, so we've been saying it for like 2-3 years, one of these weeks they're going to knock off somebody they're not supposed to. I don't know if that's this week or not. Their offense has looked very good, much improved from the beginning of the year. Keyshawn Edwards really hit his rhythm in the second half of the year. So this is a team that can put up points. I expect a lot of points scored on Friday. It just feels like, Jack Miguel the first time around was just dominant against Northrop.
If Keyshawn Edwards isn't on a Northrop team that struggled to earn wins this season and hadn't gotten banged up a little bit, is he a guy that could be competing for the Ewell Wilson Award? Because whenever I talk to opposing coaches that are facing him, there are a few guys that scare him, but they all come back to say, man, this Keyshawn Edwards guy, I don't know who's recruiting him or what the deal is there. This is a guy that can really, really play.
Yeah, take Jaya Wright out of the equation if we're talking MVP in the SAC or around the entire region. You feel like it's Keyshawn Edwards. You don't, you're kind of like, how do you pick a guy that his team has 2 wins? But Keyshawn Edwards has been tremendous, and he's a bulk of that offense too. I mean, so many people know he's getting the ball and still can't stop him. So, absolutely, the kid has just been tremendous for Northrop.
And then how do you corral what Carroll has to do defensively if you're Northrop? Because the Achilles heel, we've seen really in years past, no matter who they've had at quarterback, no matter what skill position players they've had, Northrop has been able to score.
Sure.
It's
stop
just,
anybody.
It's not even stop, but just slow some teams down.
Yeah, and they weren't able to against Carroll earlier in the season. That's the big question. Can they get some pressure on Jack Miguel, cover those receivers? I mean, that's the big thing. Carroll against lesser foes has just dominated them. I mean, then they go up against Homestead and Snyder, it's a different story, but against the Northrops and the teams like that in the SAC, they've just been able to pick them apart.